You ready? Good evening. Welcome to the DeKalb County Board of Zoning Appeals. Roll call?
Yep. Frank Pulver,
Yes.
Jason Carnahan,
Here.
Andrew Provines, Roy Walker, Andrew Cruz,
Here.
Chris Gallmer,
Here.
Meredith Wright here.
Okay. Election of officers. We have a chairman, vice chairman, and of course, secretary is Meredith.
So you guys can make motions to keep the current slate is Frank Pulver as president, Roy as vice chair, Meredith as secretary, or you can do whatever you want. It's just the three of you tonight, so Roy's not here, obviously. So.
Well, I think Mary was vice chair.
Oh, that's right. Mary was vice chair.
Mary was vice chair. Yeah.
Mary was vice chair, and she's resigned, so
Yeah.
she cannot be
Yeah.
chosen. Yeah. Frank, do you want it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Makes your choice easier if you want, if
I'll
you guys are okay with it.
I'll nominate Frank.
Second.
Now we need a vice chairman.
Let's
to
just
close
do a-
nominations.
Yeah,
for
move to
president.
close nominations,
Nominations and call for a vote.
Okay.
and we'll close nominations. All those in favor of Frank as chair?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Frank, your chair. Vice chair.
I would love to nominate Jason for vice chair.
That doesn't get into any conflicts if I have to
No.
chair a meeting? That's fine.
Do you accept it?
Yeah, that's
All
fine.
right.
I don't care.
Andrews for Jason, second.
I second that.
All nominations closed. All those in favor of Jason as vice chair?
Aye.
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 Everyone sounds so excited to
So
do this.
excited.
And then our beloved secretary Meredith. I need a motion just to retain her as secretary for the BZA.
So moved.
Second.
And Frank seconds. Nominations closed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All righty, there we go. You get the gavel again, sir. You get it.
Done deal. Okay, we've got, let's see, approval of minutes, October 14th, 2004. 2024, geez.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from October 14th, 2024.
Second.
Thank you. Unanimous consent. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Old business? Thank you. New business? Petition 25-01.
Yes, this is a petition of Cedar Creek Sawmill requesting a use variance to allow for a sawmill with lumber and lumber processing and wood box manufacturing. Property is located on the north side of County Road 56, approximately 1/10 of a mile west of the intersection of County Road 56 and State Road 1 in St. Joe, and is zoned A2 agricultural. In your packets with the application and staff report, shows an aerial map of the proposed property. This is part of CCF acres, I think, or CCF lands, Lot 1. So it will have to be eventually split out of this, one lot subdivision. I think I put that in as a condition of approval with this, if this would get approved. And then also in there is a site plan, a hand-drawn site plan from Mr. Graber regarding the proposed site. I didn't try to put it on the aerial map, but if you basically flip it upside down, so the writing is, the road is to the south, you can see kind of how they propose the site to be laid out. So those are kind of just some housekeeping steps on what's included in your packet. So in the A2 agricultural zoning district, The UDO does not permit for the commercial processing of lumber or manufacturing of wood boxes and pallets. This would be similar to that of Cedar Creek Sawmill and Grable, and the use variance that was approved on May 14th of 2018. It's approximately 1.25 mile west of this proposed location. I think Frank and Jason may have been here for that approval. Andrew, you were not.
Yeah.
But it's very similar in as far as what the use is and all of that. So the petitioner is requesting a use variance to allow for the sawmill, and in the application states with the lumber processing and wood box manufacturing. The proposals to include a wood shop, storage, office space, and staff room, and that is coming from the site plan. Basically, I'll just kind of read what's on the site plan, but the 150 by 100 foot, 15,000 square foot wood shop with a 60 foot by 100 foot concrete slab is kind of the larger boxes in the middle of the site. 36 by 48 engine room, which is kind of to the northeast of the site, or the bottom right corner if you're looking at your site plan. A 30 by 40 staff room, a 20 by 30 office, and two 40 by 200 foot lumber storage areas, and in the middle of that, a sawdust silo. The overall gravel area surrounding the properties, or surrounding the buildings, would be approximately 441,000 square feet. Board should note that the Drainage Board hasn't reviewed any engineering drawings for this, so they will have to review and approve this at the county board or county drainage board prior to any permits being issued. I doubt that it would change the site plan much, so just note that if things have to get moved slightly just because of drainage board, that may happen. The county surveyor did preliminarily approve the site plan with a condition added that the drainage board approval will be required. The business hours would be from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. 5 days a week. And there's no exterior lighting proposed. Signage at the entrance is proposed at a 4 foot by 6 foot with 10 feet in height. The perimeter of the site will be landscaped with red rocket cedars. Those are typically those fast-growing evergreen trees that people use as buffers to kind of hide or buffer sites. So that would be nice. The board could add a condition that the evergreen trees be planted the board could add a condition that the evergreens be planted at the nursery recommended planting distance, for example, 20 feet on center. I'm not sure what that exactly would be. This is to scale, so it looks like they are about 20 feet on center. That's going to be a lot of trees, but you know, I think that if that's what the board would like to see, or more or less, that's up to the board. And then again, the board should note that the property will require a replat to subdivide out a parcel for this proposed use. A condition has been added that should the use variance be approved, the replat be approved and recorded prior to any permits being issued for the site. Again, so that's all that I have. You do see as well kind of the reason for coming forward as a use variance versus a rezone or a zone map amendment would be that you would have to classify this as a manufacturing site, or sorry, as a warehousing or manufacturing site, which would have to be in our industrial zoning districts, wouldn't be in an agricultural district. So doing that would require spot zoning. Isn't frowned upon in Planning Commission, but isn't really good planning practice to have high-intensity industrial districts surrounded by agricultural. Doing this as a use variance, the pickle factory is, as you guys can see, is to the east. So that's a more or less high-intensity use as well. Near State Road 8 allows for good traffic. So when we get to that point, you know, my recommendation would be to approve the use variance. be happy to take any questions you guys have for me. If not, Mr. Graber is here with his family and can answer any questions you have as well.
I'm assuming the sign is within our sign dimensions that we
Correct.
have.
Yep.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, well, because it's a use variance, they can more or less guide their own development. So in an agricultural district, it's not allowed, but in a higher intensity district, it would be.
Will it abide by those district?
I can check while we're discussing this if you want.
I just want to know that they're going to abide by what normal signage would be.
Yeah, more, yes. I would assume so, but I can check while we're asking other questions.
I'm not sure about the 10-foot tall.
That's what I was kind of wondering.
Yeah, and Mr. Graber, maybe you can address that. If you would come to the microphone and your name and address.
Hey, Mark, can you make sure that, click that button, the gray button? Yep, make sure the blue light comes on, thank you.
Mark Graber, 14225 Page Road, Graybill, Indiana. The reason I chose 10 foot was to put the sign up out of the way, and maybe we can shrink the sign if we need to, but for vandalism.
The size of the sign is probably not an issue, the height might be an issue.
Okay. So, you know, if the height is an issue, we can,
Of course, then again, if you put in a bunch of fast-growing bushes, we don't want, then the sign's not of much use, so.
Right.
yeah. The purpose
10
for
feet
the,
is,
the purpose for the bushes was I told Max Troyer, my neighbor there at Seckler's, my desire would be to be there and make as little of disturbance as possible. I told him we grew up in this type of manufacturing, and we kind of it's not something new we're trying to do, and it's something that to have a location with my boys being older to help me with it would be the ideal thing for us would be knowing how we would set up a new location so it's in favor of our surrounding.
the other thing Chris mentioned, dust collection. You're going to have a bag system, a bag house?
We would have a bag house, and then we at home we use harvest store silos since it's in a farming area. Use harvest store silos, and our goal is to auger our sawdust into a harvest store silo and have no dust of any kind floating through the air. To have everything a totally controlled dust environment.
Okay.
A dust-free environment, I should say.
On that, Andrew, real quick, just while we're on the sign topic. In all of our commercial and industrial and airport zone districts, you can have a pole sign up to 100 square feet per size, not to exceed 25 feet in height. So it's well under that,
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
FYI.
I'm good with that. I just
Yep.
thought I'd ask the question. I didn't have a chance to look it up. Why did you guys choose to put it right next to the pickle farm?
Close to State Road 1, good access to State Road 1, and it's like a public property with more of our nature of activity.
And you own the entire parcel, though?
Yeah.
So, okay, so you could have set it over. Has there been any pushback from Seckler's at all? No? Okay.
Max's only concern was his drains. The water naturally goes his way, and we went and measured his tile, and he's got a 12-inch coming out there by State Road 1, and then there appears to be 2 8-inchers coming up on my property.
The only reason I asked, on the topic of dust, the pickle farm the whole time, and, whether it matters or not, or whether it would be an issue, just beg the question, were they okay with you being right on the line? And I'm assuming in this drawing, each one of these dots represents a tree, so those would be fast-growing and would separate it well.
The other concern that Max had was on these. He told me to not plant. If I want to, he said, account of him, I don't have to put a hedge between him and I. He said for birds. He said if you do those fast-growing cedar, like the green rocket cedar, He said those are cylindrical shape, and he says they get tall, they don't branch out over his facility. And he said they'd be fine, but he said we don't have to put them there. I put them there for the comfort of my neighboring properties. That's why I'm offering to put those there.
And I would like to see them unless the neighbors wrote off that they didn't have to, maybe?
Would you want Sacklers to, or the pickle factory to sign off on something if they
I would think so.
want to?
I think you should have the separation, especially considering it's two businesses, and there is a possibility of dust, hopefully not. But I would think if Sacklers said, you don't have to put those in between us, and signed off on it, why would we make them do that?
Well, we're not making him do it. This is primarily voluntary.
Right, but he said, Sacklers said that he might not have to do
Right.
that, or not as many. So if
Yeah.
Sacklers doesn't mind
Sure.
and signs off, then I wouldn't say make him spend the extra money to do it if Sacklers doesn't care.
Yeah, I want to do whatever
Yeah.
what works between
Sure.
Max and I.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever he's happy with and he'll sign off on, I would say do that.
Okay.
So the very east side of that, no, south side, that's the large manufacturing area, right? You got in there a 30 by 40 staff room?
Yeah. Yeah, the square that's in that, with that little cutout for an access to the staff room for someone to pick them up. There'll be a driver that'll pick them up and drop them off there in the mornings. Primarily our staff is Amish girls, teenage Amish girls, from 16, 18 so they work there for 4 or 5 years till they get married, some of them longer. We've got a lady that worked for us for 30 years. She's lost her husband early on. And so that area there, I was going to put that in lawn, just for a nice area for the shop.
Chris, will this go back to Plan Commission if we approve it? Will it go back for any sort of site plan approval? Okay.
Nope. Only reason to go back to Plan Commission would be Plat Committee for the replat.
The replat, right?
Yeah,
And that goes to the replat
the Plat Committee, yeah.
committee,
And just so you all are aware, he's planning to build a house on that Lot 1. So he's going to be living here and then running the business as well,
That's
so.
perfect, yeah. Good.
You're now on Page Road?
Yeah. Yeah, just north of Grable
I grew up in Leo.
in Leo.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know Dick Swartz?
Mm-hmm.
I live in Dick and Helen's house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I know pretty well.
yeah.
I think my only other question would be, as far as approving this, and I'm not trying to be restrictive, but what if they need another building? What if they need anything like that? I would want to see them, if they wanted to expand, come back to the Board of Zoning Appeals for that expansion. Since it is starting off as an exception, I would think they would come back if they need more space for us to review that.
Would you want that to be anything that they would expand on, like if they, or just if they need to expand the production side? Meaning like if they need a shed to store material or store stuff.
Right.
You know,
I think
like
if they
if you
need
wanna-
more sheds, something like that, if they needed to put up more buildings, I think that should come back for approval.
That's,
If they build more buildings, they have to come back anyway.
So in our ordinance, we allow that the zoning administrator can determine if it's significant enough for
Yeah,
them to
okay.
come back.
If they're building another building the same size,
Yeah.
you'd probably say it's significant
Right.
enough.
Right.
If they're building a 20 by 10 shed, it may not be.
May not be. It's kind of up to the board what they would want to see come back for. You know, if it's for
If they're going to add another
expansion of
employee,
operations, it's going to expand.
Right.
You know, I don't know what you said, employee size you're at right now. 20 with 5 full-time, if it ends up being 60 full-time, and I don't know.
Right.
60 seems drastic, but,
That's probably.
you know, maybe 15 full-time and 30 part-time, I don't know.
Or if they decide they need, 10 more spaces for storing wood, or, yeah, I just think that should come back since it is a variance to begin with.
These lumber canopies that I'm proposing on the west property line, those are like a three-sided, open-sided roof.
That would be my only other thought.
That'd be storage as well.
Yeah.
And you're going to build on the west side?
Uh,
Well, you about have to. You can't build on the east side.
west and north.
Okay.
Kind of at that back edge of the,
This would be the Graber plantation?
It's, we're just here for a short time and want to occupy while we're here. My purpose for doing this is, we grew up at home. There was 7 of us boys. Dad helped us, Dad offered us job opportunities, and we kind of picked and choose where we fit in, and now it's another generation. My oldest son is 20. So hopefully we can keep him interested in helping us home on the farm instead of working away from home. That's the goal.
Okay. Any more questions? Thank you.
If he has potential to not have to put a buffer on the east side, and he owns on the north, he's on the north and the west side, do we,
right,
it says there will be, this thing says there will be a perimeter. Do we want to word that as there can be? I mean, do we want to require? Because it says will be, so I didn't know how tying that was. That,
And I think
don't
it
know why
has
he has
to
to put trees around between himself and himself, is what I was kind of getting
Yeah.
at.
No.
but on the roadside it should.
The roadside, I mean, I don't have a problem with that.
That's
but
the only one I think that should
I
be
don't see him
mandatory.
planting trees all the way around it unless he wants to. I mean, that's
Right.
a choice, but I
And make the-
definitely don't want to require it.
Make the west side optional since it's him.
Right.
Make the
West
east
and
side
north.
dependent on Secklers and make the road mandatory.
So there, just, I'm probably fine with Secklers because they allegedly don't care. I think we need something in writing, but the other side does have, and it would be quite a distance away, probably 600, 700 feet
Right.
is Maureen Mavis. I'm assuming she still lives there. And then I think that you would still see it from, now granted, looking at Secklers, people see that from State Road 1, 2, and County Road 56, so it doesn't really matter, I guess, but I think it would help with the visual of that corner,
For her to not have to see it.
for her
I
to
get-
not
I
have to
get it.
see it, and, I think there's the neighbors south of her, which is Jordan Yoder. There's really nobody else south. Those are the only 2 neighbors that I would be concerned about. Are they here tonight? No. Okay. So that's up to you guys. They would have been required to get notice, so that's up to you. Just my own 2 cents on that.
Yeah.
Or get a non-objection letter from him or whatever to, I don't care, I guess. I just hate to see
Do the
him,
same thing with Secklers.
I hate to
Ask
see him
him.
plant a bunch of trees if he doesn't need to.
Right. Ask them
unless
to
he
sign
wants
off. If they don't care, then they don't care.
You can make that a condition of approval that we need to get, that
I'd say
they,
both neighbors can sign off, and if they want it, you're already good with doing it, so.
or if he just wants to go ahead and do it and not go talk
Yes,
to them,
and
he
it-
can just require them to do
Completely
it.
up to them. Yeah.
I'm fine with that if you guys, if Frank and Jason and Andrew are okay with, we can make that as a condition of approval.
Andrew's furiously scribbling over there.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any other board member comments, questions?
What about public? If it,
Yeah, is there anyone else here that wishes to speak in regards to this? Sure. Give your name and address, please.
My name's Ted Hansen, 5812 State Road 1, St. Joe, Indiana.
Ed Hansen,
Yes. Thank you.
your mother Mildred Hansen,
That's my mom, Millie.
okay?
Yep. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I have met with, spoken with Mark, and so my wife and I pretty well know what his plans there. But I had some questions that I think maybe the board might be able to help me with. Our farm borders the south side of 56, and our neighbors are Secklers, potential business there, and then there's two businesses directly south of our farm. So we're kind of nestled into proposed for businesses. And I see the west side of my property being probably purchased someday and more growth of business. It's no surprise that they want to come to southeastern DeKalb County. If you drive through, you'd see why. It's just a nice area. But my question my wife and I had is that if that would happen, that we'd be encompassed in, we'd be just one farm surrounded by business, is there ever a chance that we would get rezoned? Or would our farm stay agriculture? That's something that I don't know what, and it may not be able to do anything about it, but I want the growth in Concord Township. The growth has been great, and I just encouraged by what's going on, and I can see that the Amish community is probably going to continue to grow because they want their schools to be directly centered, be able to go to church. I'm all about that. So it's quite evident that the Amish community is going to be with me. I have an Amish farm north of me that raised cattle. They were great neighbors. They moved away, but the new neighbors seem fine too. So I see this crystal ball developing, as we all know. So I would just wonder, does anybody have an idea that would that happen? What would that be, commercial or?
Is Secklers a spot zone or?
I was going to say,
It's A4, and it's been there forever,
Right.
so I'm assuming that when they redid the ordinance in 2009, they just changed it to A4. So the simple answer would be, you would have to bring your a proposed rezone forward if you would want it to be commercial, or if you were potentially selling your property to a commercial entity that commercial or industrial.
Can you explain a spot zone?
Yeah, so spot zone, so across the street from you is a C1 district owned by Charles Fogel. I don't know what that business would be there, if anything. I don't know. But it's zoned C1 in the middle of agricultural zoning district. Typically, you don't want to, what we call in the planning world, spot zone. Have a zoning district that's kind of not compatible with the surrounding zoning districts. You want to have zoning that slowly gets more intense the more it gets centered. So, you have Auburn downtown, it kind of grows to commercial, residential, higher density residential to lower density residential to your farms. Spot zoning, again, isn't illegal. It's just not good planning practice because it opens up that Pandora's box of depending on what you would rezone it to, a plethora of uses that you might not want to see. So for instance, in our I3 zoning district, I think we allow sexually oriented businesses. We probably wouldn't want to rezone this to an I3 because you can't say we're going to rezone this to I3, but we're not going to allow this use.
And we aren't, so this will not get rezoned.
Right,
That's
so
the
this is
point of
not
the
a-
Board of Zoning Appeals. It is an exception on agricultural land. So he will not be rezoned to industrial.
Correct, and this is the only other use that would be allowed on his land besides agricultural uses in single-family homes.
So a lot would have to change for that area to become
Commercial.
commercial or industrial or, because it's a sea of agriculture.
So the only way that specifically your land could be rezoned would be if you guys brought it forward.
Oh,
Right.
no, We don't want to.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
I think you just made that request.
You'd have to do it.
Right, you'd have to do it, or allow somebody to do it. If you had somebody that wanted to come in and put, I don't know, blank use on your land, you'd have to sign off on that.
Is there two types of agricultural zoning, or is it just
There's four, actually.
four? And does it, as it changes, does that just get one step closer to commercial? Is that how that works?
It gets more intense. We have a conservation agricultural use and a agricultural use. Those are kind of your typical, what allows just single-family homes. And then our A3 and our A4 are kind of our business agricultural districts. A3 and A4 allow for farm implement sales, more intense uses that allow for, or that are hand in hand with agricultural zoning districts.
But once
I'd be happy to
again-
show you the zoning ordinance sometime. I don't want to get into it now. We're just
One is
getting into.
conservation. Someone could come here and ask for an A4 activity as an exception, but still remain A1.
Correct.
So the Graber farm and our farm would still be zoned the same.
Correct.
Yeah, it's still all A2.
Yep.
That answers my question.
Good.
Thank you.
I'd be happy to go over it with you. You sound like you're interested, so
Well,
we can get nerdy on zoning if you want to.
Chris Galmer really knows his stuff, Ted.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good question.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience? I don't think so.
All right. If we're ready for the findings here. These are proposed findings that aren't final until they're voted upon, but I'll read through them. Petitioner complying with the rules and regulations of the Board of Zoning Appeals in filing appropriate forms and reports. Application completed and filed on November 20th, 2024?
18.
18th.
Huh?
18th, is that
Oh, maybe I was looking at the wrong one.
25?
Oh, I had 2502. Okay, so I was
Okay,
looking at that. All right. Starting out on the wrong one here. All right. November 18th, 2024.
Yes.
And number 2, legal notice published in the Star on December 24th, 2024, and an affidavit given to staff.
Yes.
Certificate of mailing notices sent and receipts given to staff.
Yes.
Letter from the County Health Department dated November 21st, 2024.
Yes.
Letter from the County Highway Department dated November 19th.
Yes.
Letter from the County Surveyor dated December 17th.
Yes.
And letter from the Soil and Water Conservation District dated November 20th.
Yes.
Letter from the DeKalb County Airport Authority is not applicable. Now, these following 5 items are proposed findings of fact, and so I'll start down through them, and it'd be good if we could have, at least some comment on each one. Number 1, will the approval be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community?
No, it will not.
All right.
Do you agree with the proposed?
Yes.
Okay. And then number 2, will the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance be affected in a substantially adverse manner?
No, the property values adjacent to the property are not going to be negatively affected.
All right. And number 3, does the need arise from some condition peculiar to the property involved?
Yes. The use variance is needed for reasonable use of the property due to access on State Road 1 and the close proximity to a similar use approved May 14th, 2018, and being adjacent to Seckler's Pickle Factory.
Number 4, will the strict application of the Unified Development Ordinance result in an unnecessary hardship if applied to the property for which the variance is sought?
Yes, the location for the proposed use has been cited adjacent to the Seckler's Pickle Factory, with the proposed location in proximity to State Road 1.
And the last one, number 5, will the approval interfere substantially with policies of the comprehensive plan?
No, the proposed use should not interfere with the comprehensive plan provided the petitioner meets the conditions and regulations set forth with this approval.
All right, and so we have proposed conditions of approval. Staff is recommending approval of this use variance and recommends the following conditions. Number 1, The board retains continuing jurisdiction of this use variance to assure compliance with all terms and conditions and/or impose additional conditions deemed necessary for health and safety. Number 2, use variance is approved for a sawmill with lumber processing and wood box manufacturing. The proposal will include a wood shop, storage, office space, and staff room. Number 3, a drainage plan be submitted to and approved by the DeKalb County Surveyor and Drainage Board prior to any permits being issued for this project. Number 4, a replat of CCF Place be approved and recorded to subdivide the required acreage for the site. This may include the acreage be less than the required 2 acres if deemed necessary, so to conserve the surrounding agricultural land. Number 5.
I just want to speak
yes.
to that real quick. So the reason I added that second sentence was because we require 2 acres. If he goes through this process, I want to make sure that if he didn't need the full 2 acres, he doesn't have to do it. We can approve it here, and it'd be like a BZA variance approval during plat committee, if you guys are okay with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Number 5, no off-site drainage, existing surface water or existing tiled water drainage crossing over said real estate should be obstructed by any development on the site. The BZA may enforce these conditions by injunctive relief with attorney's fees. Number 6, no certificate of occupancy or certificate of completion shall be issued until the applicant files written evidence of compliance with any conditions of the DeKalb County Board of Health, DeKalb County Highway Department, Drainage Board, Surveyor, Airport, Soil and Water Conservation District, or other agency as applicable. File written evidence of compliance with federal or state agencies that were identified in the findings or conditions, and zoning administrator to determine when conditions have been met. And then I suppose you can discuss whether or not you want an extra condition about the trees or not.
Can we back up and ask another question at this point? No? Okay. After you mentioned the 2 acres and the reason, why do we require 2 acres?
We require 2 acres because at that time, it helped with the health department's requirements of septics.
That's what I
Septic
wanted.
and backup septic.
But our ordinance does not state that, so it's still a requirement of us, but it can't be a requirement of the health department.
Correct. I want to know, and the question I'm wanting to know is how they're going to handle that on site. What are they going to, didn't think to ask that earlier.
It'd have to be a commercial septic system of some sort.
Okay.
That's the only thing that the Drainage Board will, or the Health Department would approve. Right.
This is commercial.
Yeah.
This is a commercial facility.
Can it also be handled with, like porta potties on site?
It'd be, well, they could do a pump and haul until they got their final
No,
inspection by the health department, but they couldn't, I don't believe, do like full-time porta pots on the
I
site.
think they can.
That's what Graber Lumber and
I think,
Leo does, I think.
Kathy would let you do that.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Yeah. If you don't want
That's
to put
what
a septic in.
I just wanted to clarify
I did not know that.
what the
No, I'm
original
pretty sure
intent of
you
the 2
can.
acres was, and that there's multiple ways to handle that scenario.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm pretty sure Kathy's okay with full-time porta potties as an alternative, because then you have to pump and haul and.
Yeah,
Yep. I just kind of wanted to point out
Yeah.
that there's multiple ways for that to be handled.
yeah.
So, I will make a motion to approve.
Do you want another condition for the
I was
landscaping?
gonna add it in the
Okay.
motion.
Yep.
Good with that? So I will make a motion to approve petition 2501 for Cedar Creek Sawmill, is it? And with the condition that the side borders, the east and west borders, trees can be left out or can have less if signature from the neighbors, being Seckler, and what's the other one, Chris?
Was it Mavis?
Mavis,
Probably the south, yeah, so it's probably ought to get both of those.
yeah. Are willing to sign off on that. So if the neighbors are willing to sign off for less trees, I'm good with that. But the tree along the road, or along County Road 56 be required.
What about the north side? Oh, I thought he had, okay. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
My bad, carry on.
Also with the condition that if changes to the operation as far as additional buildings are going to be built, that they just come back to the Board of Zoning Appeals for approval. Sorry, it was a long motion.
Wouldn't really be any different than like
So you
an
want those
update.
6 conditions that Andrew read, plus the 2 that
Yep.
you just added? Okay.
It'd be like an update on like a dependent housing type thing.
Yeah.
I'll second that motion.
So noted?
Yes. So noted.
Okay.
Oh. Okay. Jason Carnahan,
Yes.
Andrew Provines,
Yes.
Frank Pulver.
Yes. Good to go.
Good to go for now. We'll be in touch on what you need to do, next steps, but the use side of it's good to go. Yep, no problem. Don't feel like you have to stick around.
Have a great night.
Okay. Next, we have 25-02, Welded, Jacob Farver.
All right. Last one tonight is 2502, Welded with Jacob Farver, requesting a development standards variance to allow for a taller chain link fence than allowed by ordinance. The maximum height of a chain link fence is 6 feet, and the petitioner wishes to have a 10-foot chain link fence. The property is located at 1047 US Highway 6 in Corona. As you see on your packets and aerial map, the area surrounding, or the area with the yellow dashed line is the proposed fence location. This used to be the site of, I always get it wrong, either Hillbilly Tire or
Hillbilly
Tire.
Tire.
Hillbilly Tire, thank you. I should know that by now. So the aerial map that shows the mess of tires there, Jacob has cleaned up basically entirely on his own. I can let you give a brief history if you want of the site when you found it and all that. But he has, in your packet shows the, what's permitted in the industrial zoning districts to allow for fences. He's purchased the property in 2024 and went through a rezone to allow for the welding business. And again, he's wishing to install a 10-foot chain link fence for the security of stored steel and equipment. Again, by ordinance, only a 6-foot and 8-foot fence is permitted. Thus, the petitioner's requesting the variance for 4 feet. 6 feet is in the front yard setback, 8 feet is the rest. So that's why it's 6 foot and 8 feet, which is probably something the planning commission should take up. But if you have questions on why we require 6 feet versus 8 feet, but before Jacob comes up, it's I have no problems with the 10-foot. I'm requesting approval. It's chain link, so I feel as though a 10-foot, plastic or wood privacy fence would probably have some sort of wind load issues. But with the chain link, I don't foresee any issues, and it's, really not within any public right-of-way view or safety concerns from County Road 9 to US 6 turning off or on, so I don't foresee any issues.
It makes it harder for people randomly dumping junk there to throw it inside there.
That black,
Or steal his stuff.
that black shading fence is chain link, is it like got a net on it, or?
From what I understood, or from what I assumed, I guess, it's like just that coated chain link fence.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it has a netting on it or not. Jacob, do you want to come up and
We have him,
state your name and address first real quick to us?
Jacob Farver, 1353 County Road 19, Waterloo, Indiana. The the fence is black vinyl coated chain link. So it was a tennis court fence.
I just didn't know if it had like a,
Doesn't have the slats.
almost netting
Doesn't have
behind
the
it.
slats that are drained.
No
right?
slats. No slats.
Perfect. You pretty much cleaned up that entire,
Yeah.
I mean, I drove up there today, it's,
Yeah.
like,
yeah.
you've
It's
taken it all out.
flat.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, it's not flat right now. We got a bunch of dirt there.
I saw the dirt, will that be smoothed out eventually? Will that
Yeah.
fence all
yeah.
be on?
Well, right now it's frozen. So
Okay.
we should be on it right now. I guess it's frozen. So,
And neither here nor there, you've done a lot of work.
yep. Yeah, hopefully by the end of February, the rest of it will be flattened out. And
My question to you is the 10-foot, do you foresee theft as an issue, or?
No, it's like we'll have bucket trucks sit inside there, and like the crane will sit inside there, and steel racks are 9 foot tall. So it was just more to. I mean, I don't ever foresee theft an issue there. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that sits out right now that.
You'd like just the fence to be taller than the top of
Other
the
than the
racks.
equipment was the biggest thing.
Make it look more like uniform.
And when we put the fence in, it'll be to grade, it won't be to the slope of the property. The property be all to the grade of that front concrete is where
Would
we're
it have multiple
going to.
gates?
Yeah, it'll have 2 gates on it, 20-foot roller gates.
Are those going to be on County Road 9?
No, those will be onto the property. We brought the back of that property up about 12 foot. So there's no just driving onto County Road 9 from the leveled land now.
So you're not going to have one of those gates on facing US 6?
No, US 6 either.
No, because that would be a whole nother can of worms.
No. I think we're far enough off, that fence would be far enough off the road. I don't think that would be necessarily an issue, but the 2 gates will come west off of the property, or west out of the fenced-in area.
Okay.
And it looks like it's far enough off US 6 that it wouldn't be, if this were sitting right next to US 6, right there on the corner in Corona, that would be kind of hard to do because it would be kind of unsightly, but it's far enough back, you're never really gonna
I think we
notice
were
it.
close to 100 foot off
Yeah.
of the center line of 6.
Yep.
Where
Perfect.
the fence is.
So this building, it says existing building, how big is that building?
There's a shipping container on the property. It's an 8 by 40.
Okay. Well, it's really nice to see that the tires aren't there. When I seen this picture today, I went,
I hate looking at the GIS. I'm constant on it, and I hate looking at that.
I drove to see it today, I was like,
Ugh.
well, this is, am I on the right road?
Yeah, and that picture there was not even half of what was on the property.
I say that was after you'd already done part of it.
yeah.
Yeah, that was not even half
crazy.
of what was on there. It was a feat for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
That doesn't help relieve the cost, but we'd appreciate that.
Right.
Yeah, that's our next step. Hopefully this year we'll get on that.
Any other questions for Mr. Farber? Thank you.
Looks good to me.
Andrew, you have any
No,
more questions?
I have no more questions.
Mr. Carnahan?
Nope. Wants to improve that property, I'm all for it.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
All right, are you ready for the findings? Okay, these are proposed findings, which are not final until adopted by the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Can we just make note, there's no one else in the audience to,
Oh,
for public
yes, from
comment?
Public. Noted for the record, no
Yes.
other public here.
Literally no one else here.
Doesn't seem to be that many out there.
You can't see them out there,
I don't
Frank?
see them.
Either they're not there, or you need a different type of glasses, maybe. or something.
Might be the glasses.
to reopen nominations.
Number one, jurisdictional finding, application completed and filed on November 20th this time.
Yes.
Legal notice published in the Star on December 31st with publisher's affidavit and receipt received.
Yes.
Certificate of mailing notices sent and receipts given to staff.
Yes.
Letter from the County Board of Health dated November 21st.
Yes.
Letter from the County Highway Department dated November 21st.
Yes.
Letter from the Soil and Water Conservation District dated November 20th.
Yes.
Letter from the County Surveyor or Drainage Board dated November 20th.
Yes.
And letter from the DeKalb County Airport Authority is not applicable. So here we have proposed findings of fact. Number one, will the approval of the variance request be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community?
No, with the various letters from the county departments and what we've discussed, this will not be injurious to the general welfare of the community.
Well, number two, will the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance request be affected in a substantially adverse manner?
No, the proposed increase to the height of the chain link fence will not adversely affect neighboring properties. Neighboring properties are vacant land used for farming.
And number three, will the strict application of the terms of the UDO, Unified Development Ordinance, result in practical difficulties in the use of the property?
Yes, the proposed increase in the height of the chain link fence is needed for additional security for the materials and equipment stored on site for the business.
All right, then we have conditions of approval proposed here. Staff is recommending approval and recommending the following conditions. Number one, the board retains continuing jurisdiction of this from the development standards variance to assure compliance with all terms and conditions and/or impose additional conditions deemed necessary for health and safety. Number two, a development standards variance to allow the increased height of the chain link fence to 10 feet would be approved. Number three, comply with any environmental or applicable environmental standards as required in Article 5, 5.11 EN-01 in the UDO. Number four, no off-site drainage crossing said real estate should be obstructed by any development on this site. And number five, no certificate of occupancy or certificate of completion shall be issued until the applicant files written evidence of compliance with any conditions of the DeKalb County Board of Health, Highway Department, Drainage Board, Surveyor, Airport, Soil and Water Conservation District, or other agency as applicable. File written evidence of compliance with federal or state agencies where identified in the findings or conditions. And, as usual, the zoning administrator to determine when conditions have been met.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve petition 2502 for an increased fence height.
Need a second?
I'll second that motion.
Jason Carnahan?
Yes.
Andrew Provines?
Yes.
Frank Pulver?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll Charity and Mary to finalize that for you tomorrow. And get that in tomorrow.
Thank you.
We got,
Is that it? Anything else?
we'll have 2 petitions in February and 2 petitions.
Wow.
We'll finish we have 10 total petitions in 2026 before the first quarter's over. What is March 10th.
You got to make sure that there's at least 3 then remaining members on, because
So, do
you
you
have
know
to have
how
a quorum
long
and all
is,
3 have to agree to pass anything, but hey, people need vacations, so that's okay.
meeting's closed?